This is your weekly report on corruption in the Philippine government. 4 police officers charged over the 2021 to 2022 disappearances of cockfighting aficionados were ordered dismissed again, alongside 7 other cops, in a separate administrative complaint connected to 2 other alleged kidnapping cases. In a statement on Friday, the National Police Commission said it had found all 11 police officers administratively liable for 2 counts of grave misconduct and 2 counts of conduct unbecoming of a police officer. Given the gravity of the offences and the presence of multiple administrative violations, the Commission imposed the maximum penalty of dismissal from the service, along with the corresponding accessory penalties under existing rules. The Commission explained. It identified the implicated cops as Police Lieutenant Colonel Ryan J. Oripa, Police Major Mark Philip Almadilla, Police Senior Master Sergeant Mark Anthony Manrique, Police Staff Sergeants Edmund Munoz, Robert Allen Raz Jr. and Denner Roda, Police Corporals Alric Natividad, Reynaldo Sino Jr. and Ronald John Lanaria, and Patrolmans Rufino Miguel Pangilan and Devlin Tapala. Oripa, Almadilla, Manrique and Munoz were administratively charged over the Sabungeras case last August, criminally charged over the same last December and arrested and dismissed from the police service last January. This time, the 4 officers, alongside the 7 other police personnel, were accused of abducting 28-year-old Dane Mark Carlos and 30-year-old Charles Dean Soto in separate instances under the guise of anti-drug operations on the 17th of February, 2021 and the 24th of March, 2021. All 11 police officers were assigned to the National Capital Region Police Office Drug Enforcement Unit at the time. The respondents' actions, carried out while they were in active service and acting under the color of authority, seriously dishonored the Philippine National Police and demonstrated a corrupt and unworthy moral character incompatible with public service, Napolcom said. The administrative complaint was lodged by the victims' mothers, Milagros Estacio and Elizabeth Soto, last September, after they had discovered that Oripa, Almadilla, Manrique and Munoz had already been administratively charged in the separate Sabungeras case. We have due process here in Napolcom. We can't just mix the cases together. We have to look at them separately based on the evidence, Napolcom Commissioner Rafael Calinazan said in Filipino in a statement. A group identifying itself as Concerned Health Workers has filed a complaint before the Office of the Ombudsman against Department of Health Undersecretary Glenn Matthew Bagao, accusing him of conflict of interest and procurement-related violations involving government-funded health infrastructure projects. In a complaint filed on the 30th of April, the group sought to hold Bagao liable for alleged violations of Republic Act No. 3019, Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, Republic Act No. 6713, Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees, and Republic Act No. 9184, Government Procurement Reform Act. We urgently demand the immediate intervention of the Office of the Ombudsman in what constitutes a dire and escalating crisis within the Department of Health. As Concerned Health Workers, we raise a red flag and call for action regarding the appointment of Undersecretary Glenn Matthew Bagao as the head of the Health Facilities Enhancement Programs. This appointment threatens the integrity of our nation's health system and puts billions of pesos at risk. The gravity of the situation cannot be overstated. Swift and decisive action is not only warranted but absolutely necessary to protect public funds and ensure that every peso allocated to hospitals truly serves the Filipino people. The complaint read. Also, the complainants raised concerns over alleged ties between the official and a construction firm, leaving the nation's multi-billion peso health infrastructure budget in the hands of an official whose family owns a construction empire. Already mired in ghost project scandals and Senate investigations, is a recipe for a catastrophic loss of public funds, they said. Per the complaint, Bagao has corollary authority to prioritize infrastructure projects in specific regions and allocate of funds from the HFEP to regional health centers. The group cited projects allegedly secured by a construction firm owned by the respondent's brother. The group stated, from the time of his appointment up to present, EGB Construction, owned Ernie G. Bagao, respondent's brother secured 5 health infrastructure projects totaling 140.99 million pesos, 3 from the DPWH and 2 from the Isabela provincial government. These allegedly include the Maconican Super Health Center, 5,960,001 pesos, Divilacan Super Health Center, 11,930,001 pesos, Oriental Mindoro Central District Hospital, 63,140,219 pesos. Manuel A. Roxas District Hospital, 29,980,003 pesos. And Echag District Hospital, 29,980,003 pesos. In addition, the group alleged that the respondent has influence over procurement processes and project specifications. Respondent has the authority to dictate the technical specifications and terms of reference for projects. By setting specifications that only a firm with his family's specific heavy equipment and regional footprint can meet, he effectively rigs the DPWH bidding process before it even begins. The complaint read, such actions, the group said, could affect competition in government procurement. By signaling a preference for family-linked entities, respondent discourages legitimate, independent contractors from participating in the bidding process, thereby destroying the competitiveness required under Section 3 of RA 9184, as amended by RA 12009. They added, apart from criminal charges, the complainants are also seeking administrative sanctions against Baguio. Respondents' untenable workload, managing national programs, a regional hospital, and 8 massive regions, guarantees administrative bottlenecks and a lack of oversight. This severely compromises the efficiency and integrity of the DOH. The complaint stated, the concerned health workers urge the ombudsman to investigate the allegations and impose preventive measures. A Department of Education supervisor was gunned down in Alicia, Zamboanga Cibugay on Thursday night, the 30th of April. Police identified the victim as Ray Daleota King, 45, a resident of Ipal, Zamboanga Cibugay. Investigation said the victim was walking in a port in Sisiogacam, Barangay Dawa at around 7:20 p.m. when 2 unidentified persons approached and shot him at close range. King died on the spot from a bullet wound to the head. The suspects fled on a motorcycle toward Barangay Kawayan, Alicia. Police are conducting follow-up investigation. The Land Transportation Office on Friday, the 1st of May, issued a show cause order against a personnel of the Philippine Marine Corps whose sports utility vehicle got involved in a viral road rage in Silang, Cavite. LTO Chief, Assistant Secretary Marcos V. Lacanileo said the SUV, a Mitsubishi Montero, was caught in a dashcam video grazing a motorcycle on its rear while the latter was stopped due to a red light. A report from the LTO said the SUV driver allegedly attempted to leave the scene instead of stopping. This prompted other motorists to intervene, which led to a heated confrontation on the road. Citing the motorcycle driver's account, the LTO said the SUV driver introduced himself as a police officer but later verification confirmed he is a Marine. Instead of apologizing, he allegedly even threatened to file charges. Lacanileo said, the LTO did not identify the SUV driver. As such, the LTO, through its Intelligence and Investigation Division, issued an SCO against the registered owner and designated driver of the SUV. The agency ordered the registered owner designated driver to appear before the IID at the LTO Central Office in Quezon City at 2 p.m. on Thursday, the 7th of May. The driver registered owner was required to submit a sworn explanation why he should not be administratively held liable for reckless driving, Section 48, and failure to render assistance in case of accident, Section 55, both under Republic Act No. 4136 of the Land Transportation and Traffic Code of the Philippines, and for being an improper person to operate a motor vehicle. The agency also placed the SUV under alarm status while the driver's license of the Marine was placed under a 90-day preventive suspension and was ordered to be surrendered immediately. Failure to attend the hearing would mean waiver of the right to be heard, the LTO said. It warned that the investigation would proceed based on available evidence. I will repeatedly remind everyone that we will not tolerate this kind of behavior on the road. The law is clear. Anyone who violates it will be held accountable, Lacanileo said. 13 police officers in different parts of central Luzon were dismissed from the service between January and April this year after facing administrative charges. The Police Regional Office 3 disclosed on Friday, the 1st of May. In a statement, the PRO3 said the dismissed individuals were among the 72 police officers whose administrative cases have been resolved this year. At least 20 of those who faced administrative charges for various offenses were commissioned officers or with ranks of lieutenant and above, while the remaining 52 were non-commissioned officers or with ranks of executive master sergeant and below. It said 36 of the 72 law enforcers in resolved cases were suspended, 2 were demoted, 5 were reprimanded, and 16 were exonerated from charges. No other details were provided. The statement quoted Brigadier General Jess Mendez, PRO3 director, as saying that internal discipline and cleansing remains a priority of the regional police. He said the PRO3 reaffirms its commitment to uphold professionalism, transparency, and accountability. Brigadier General Jess B. Mendez, PRO3 director, emphasized that internal discipline remains a top priority in ensuring effective and credible policing. We continue to strengthen our internal cleansing efforts. Discipline within the ranks is non-negotiable. We will hold accountable those who violate the law, while ensuring that due process is strictly observed, he added. A police officer suspected in the shooting of a 25-year-old farmer in this capital town on Thursday, the 30th of April, has surrendered to authorities. The suspect turned himself in at the San Carlos City Police Station, where he is assigned, at around noon on Friday. He also surrendered his issued firearm, along with its magazine and ammunition. In a statement, the Pangasinan Provincial Police Office, signed by Lieutenant Colonel Marceliano Decimito Jr., said the officer has been transferred to the Lingayen Police Station and is now under custody. Police are preparing a frustrated murder complaint against the suspect, who has yet to disclose a motive for the shooting. Initial reports said the incident occurred around midnight on Thursday, when the suspect went to a house in Barangay Aliwakwek where the victim was attending a drinking session during a fiesta. The officer allegedly opened fire, hitting the farmer in the chest and abdomen. The victim was rushed to Lingayen District Hospital for treatment. The suspect fled after the shooting but was later contacted by police through his mobile phone and ordered to surrender. The development sends a clear message. No one is above the law, not even members of the police force, Decimito said. He added, our actions demonstrate our commitment to justice, integrity, and public trust. The National Police Commission has ordered the dismissal of a police officer after finding him administratively liable for grave misconduct, neglect of duty, and conduct unbecoming of a police officer in connection with the deaths of his wife and young son earlier this year. In a decision issued by the Commission and Bank, Police Senior Master Sergeant John L. Molinido was held accountable for actions linked to the handling of the deaths of his estranged wife, Police Senior Master Sergeant Diane Marie Molinido, and their 8-year-old son in the 20th of January 26. Case records show that the decomposing body of Diane Marie Molinido was discovered in Pulilan, Bulacan on the 24th of January, 2026. Days later, the remains of their son, John Ismail, were found in Victoria, Tarlac. Autopsy findings indicated that the mother died from a gunshot wound, while the child died due to asphyxia. Despite the ongoing police investigation, authorities found that Molinido facilitated the immediate cremation of both victims. He reportedly signed the authorization for cremation and proceeded with the process before the completion of required medico-legal examinations, resulting in the destruction of potential evidence. The commission said the act violated Presidential Decree No. 1829, which penalizes obstruction of justice, including the destruction or concealment of evidence. It also cited breaches of Napolcom Memorandum which outlines administrative offenses among police personnel. The actions of the respondent showed a blatant disregard of established legal procedures and the fundamental duty of a police officer to uphold the law, the commission said in its ruling. Vice Chairman and Executive Officer Ralph Kalinizan stressed the gravity of the offense, stating, when a police officer himself destroys evidence and obstructs the truth, not only is the law violated but justice itself is violated. We will not allow the uniform to be a shield from accountability. Given the seriousness and multiple violations cited, the commission imposed the penalty of dismissal from the police service, along with accessory penalties under existing rules. Napolcom reiterated its commitment to enforcing discipline and accountability within the Philippine National Police, emphasizing that no officer is above the law. Attorney Cristobal Romando, representing Molinido, said he was taken aback by the Commission and Bank's decision ordering his client's dismissal over alleged obstruction of justice and grave misconduct tied to the deaths of the officer's wife and son. My client has been relieved by the Office of the Prosecutor of Quezon City. That means my client has no intent of ruining, damaging, or even to obstruct evidence, Romando said, emphasizing what he described as a key element missing in the case: intent. The lawyer acknowledged that Molinido signed the authorization for the cremation of the victim's remains, an act cited by Napolcom as leading to the destruction of potential evidence. However, Raimondo insisted the action was done within legal bounds. Number 2. Yes, my client signed this authorization letter that allows cremation, but this is only with applicable laws and regulation. That means to say, there is an instruction from my client to follow rules and regulation. This also means that my client respects policy and procedure as a police officer. That's what it is, he said. Raimondo argued that the commission's ruling failed to properly consider the legal requirements for obstruction of justice. That's why I'm shocked with the decision. The decision disregarded the elements of obstruction of justice. Number 1. There is intent. There is no intent whatsoever, he added. The defense is now preparing to challenge the ruling through all available legal channels. We will appeal definitely. We will appeal all legal remedies. If we are gonna be going to the Supreme Court, will we do this? Raimondo said. He confirmed that elevating the case to the Supreme Court remains an option as they seek to overturn the dismissal and clear his client's name. A multisectoral coalition has filed a graft complaint before the Office of the Ombudsman against current and former officials of the Department of Transportation and the Land Transportation Office, alleging irregularities in the continued collection of a 169 pesos computer fee from motorists. The complaint was filed by Coalition 169, represented by Bernard Yyu, John Rustico Braga, Aida C. Uvinco, Joselito C. Reyes, Rene S. Santiago, and the Federated Land Transport Organizations of the Philippines, Incorporated, represented by its president Darlito N. Inasanto. In a complaint dated the 4th of May, Coalition 169 accused several incumbent and former transport officials, along with Stratcom Corporation President Anthony Quiambao, of violating provisions of Republic Act No. 1319. The group cited Section 3E of the law, which penalizes causing undue injury to the government or giving unwarranted benefits to a private party, and Section 3G, which prohibits entering into contracts grossly disadvantageous to the government. Coalition 169 alleged that officials extended undue favor to Stratcom in relation to the LTO's information technology systems, allowing the continued imposition of the 169 pesos fee despite what it described as the expiration of the firm's contract on the 20th of February 13. The group estimated that the fee has generated around 2 billion pesos to 3 billion pesos annually since the 10th of February, 2013, amounting to billions of pesos collected from motorists and other LTO clients. While P169 pesos per transaction may appear minimal, its cumulative impact is significant. Across millions of transactions annually, this represents a substantial financial burden on Filipino motorists, compounded by additional indirect costs such as time lost, repeated in-person visits, and the loss of digital convenience. The coalition said, at a minimum, this situation calls for a transparent accounting of total collections under the current system cost structure and recovery status and justification for continued fee imposition. It added, named respondents include Transportation Secretary Giovanni Z. Lopez, former Transportation Secretaries Vivencio B. Dizon and Jamie J. Bautista, DOTR Undersecretary Ramon G. Reyes, former Undersecretaries Jesus Ferdinand D. Ortega and Mark Stephen C. Pastor, LTO Chief Marcos V. Lacanaleo, former LTO Chiefs Viga Mendoza II and Teofilo Iguadas III, and Quiambao. Coalition 169 is asking the Ombudsman to conduct a preliminary investigation and, if warranted, file criminal charges for graft. It also sought a preventive suspension of incumbent officials for up to 6 months, as provided under the law. In addition, the group is seeking the refund of all computer fees collected from the 20th of February 13 up to the present, and the suspension of further collection and remittance of the fees pending resolution of the case. The complainants further asked the Ombudsman to compel the submission of key documents, including contracts, procurement records, audit reports, and assurances related to the LTO's IT systems and Stratcom's engagement. Coalition 169 said the complaint was filed in the interest of transparency and accountability in government transactions, particularly those involving public fees collected from motorists. Administrative cases against police officers who violated law enforcement regulations increased in the first quarter of 2026, according to the Philippine National Police Internal Affairs Service. A total of 1,048 police officers were administratively charged from January to the 20th of March 26, compared to 770 during the same period in 2025, the IAS said in a statement on Tuesday. IAS Inspector General Brigid O'Dooley, however, maintained that the increase in cases of erring police officers reflected an internal disciplinary mechanism that is actively working. The increase in cases is not a setback, it is proof that we are tightening our grip on accountability. We would rather expose every violation than allow misconduct to go unnoticed, Dule said. Let this be clear, there is no place in the service for those who betray the public trust. We will pursue every case and hold every erring personnel accountable. No exceptions, he added. Of the 1,048 police officers administratively charged in the first quarter of 2026, 806 were police non-commissioned officers, while 242 were police commissioned officers, according to the IAS. Further, of the 1,048 number, 323 police officers' administrative cases were handled by the IAS. Of the 323 police officers in the cases handled by the IAS, 41 were dismissed from the service, 64 were suspended, 20 were demoted, and 11 were reprimanded, while 187 were exonerated. Our direction is clear. All who violate the law will be held accountable, PNP Chief General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. said. We enforce discipline firmly, fairly and consistently across all ranks, he added. The Land Transportation Office topped the list of agencies with the most number of complaints in the first quarter of 2026, the Anti-Red Tape Authority said on Tuesday. From the third spot in 2025, the LTO has now replaced the Food and Drug Administration with the most number of complaints, ARTA Secretary Ernesto Perez said in a press conference in Malacanang. This is not to defend the agency, but considering the volume of transactions, applications that they receive, we cannot help but receive complaints, Perez said. Most of these cases, more than 90%, are already closed. This is because agencies immediately act on these complaints, he said. Most of the complaints centered on delays in the filing of applications and the imposition of additional requirements, he added. The top 10 most complained government agencies as of the 20th of March 26 are as follows. National Government Agencies 1. Land Transportation Office. 2. Bureau of Internal Revenue. 3. Food and Drug Administration. 4. Land Regulation Authority. 5. Philippine Statistics Authority. 6. Department of Education. 7. National Telecommunications Commission. 8. Department of Migrant Workers. 9. Professional Regulation Commission and Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development. 10. Department of Science and Technology. Government-owned and controlled corporations. 1. Social Security System. 2. Home Development Mutual Fund. 3. Philippine Health Insurance Corporation. 4. Philippine Postal Corporation. 5. Land Bank of the Philippines. 6. Government Service Insurance System. 7. National Irrigation Administration. 8. Laguna Lake Development Authority. 9. Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation. 10. National Food Authority. Of the 77% of the over 2,000 complaints it received from the 20th of September 25 to the 20th of April 26 have already been resolved, Perez said. The ARTA is holding a month-long list of activities in commemoration of the Ease of Doing Business Month this May to further promote more efficient government processes across the country, Perez said. The agency is also working to help local government units establish one-stop shops to encourage investors to do more business, especially in provinces, he said. Meanwhile, the LTO said it has been made aware of the report and is taking it seriously. The volume of transactions at LTO is really high, but that is not an excuse, LTO Chief Marcos Lacanileo said in a statement. That is why we recently launched I Report Mo Kay LTO Chief, so that the public has a clear channel to report delays, fixes, and other concerns, he said. The LTO is taking concrete steps to improve frontline services and ensure that LTO processes comply with the Ease of Doing Business standards, he added. A Bureau of Immigration agent was relieved and dismissed for allegedly extorting money from a Korean national in Cebu. Immigration Commissioner Joel Vallado said police arrested the 61-year-old suspect in an entrapment operation on the 5th of May inside a restaurant along AS Fortuna Street in Mandawi City. The operation stemmed from a complaint filed by a 43-year-old foreigner who alleged that the suspect was demanding protection money from him. Authorities conducted an entrapment operation, during which the complainant, acting as poser victim, handed over marked money to the suspect. Recovered from the suspect were marked bills and money used in the operation. The BI confirmed that the agent has been immediately relieved from his post, With administrative charges already initiated, his case has been endorsed to the Civil Service Commission for the termination of his contract of service. That's all for this week. I'll see you next Friday with more stories of corruption and foolishness within the Philippine government.